Greetings, dear viewers. On December 4th, 2021, an unprecedented event for all humankind took place. The international online conference, Global Crisis, Time for the Truth. It was initiated and implemented by true heroes. These are brave people who do not keep silent, but voice the truth. They understand the gravity of the situation and conduct large-scale events with interpretation into 100 languages of the world, with the only purpose of bringing vital information to all of the humanity and changing the vector of our society from consumerist to creative one, in order to make every human life the highest priority.
Yes, and participants of Creative Society project keep moving forward and are already preparing for the next event, the International Forum Global Crisis, We Are People, We Want to Live, which will be held on the 7th of May this year. And it will be the most important event for all humankind. If you are an expert in any of the discussed topics, or you are one of those who know in practice about atrocities of the consumer format of the society, about human slavery, about problems with refugees, or if you are a witness to climate cataclysms, please contact us. And yes, this is something that is vital to do right now. That's why we are here today at this international discussion.
Today with us, we have Rajda Winter, a Senior Meteorological Officer at St. Christopher Air and Seaports Authority. Welcome.
Thank you.
We also have Rakib Mahdi, a journalism student. And we have Aydin Mongush, an entrepreneur. Hello, Aydin.
Hello, everyone. So, dear friends, I know that you watched the conference Global Crisis, Time for the Truth. And I know that you are those people who really care about what is happening in the world today. I would like to ask you to share your feedback about the conference, its importance and its impact on our future, and how potentially it can help all of us understand the importance of building the creative society. I would like to pass the floor to Rajda, please.
Hi, pleasant good day. My views from the last meeting were pertaining to religion and beliefs. It can help when forming the creative society in the unification of people. It's so important to put people first, because if we get caught up in worrying about the different catastrophes, the different cataclysms and climate change, we tend to forget one another. So I think it's important to think about the people around us and what is important, what people really hold steadfast to their hearts. For me, it's about religion, and I can see it in the broad aspects. Having so many diversities, Muslims, Hindus, Christians, if we can come to a mutual respect for religion, for everyone's religious beliefs and everyone's religion, I think we can move forward even more speedily.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for sharing. Thank you. And Rakib, can you please share your feedback and your opinion? It's very interesting to know how it was for you.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure to join this wonderful international conversation, and as a participant of Global Project Creative Society, it's my pleasure to being part of this wonderful global team. And I was one of the translator of this wonderful international organization, and I was the part of Bangla translation team. And you know that this wonderful global conference was translated into more than 100 languages. I think this is the incredible things. And you know, it's not just a conference. Those people are all around the world just talking about the different things. I think it's the on our global conference, we see that a lot of people in all around the world just talk about the real situation, what we are facing, the climate problems, the refugee problems, and the business of a lot of things. And it's not the fact that we are all people peacefully in different parts of the world, that natural climate disaster, and it's really heartbreaking thing that it's not a parallel world. And that's why it's very much important to unite it and to use the power of common people. So that's why we changed the current consumer format of the society. And I think this platform, Creative Society, is the best option. I am very much pleased to be a part of this wonderful global organization. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Rakib, for being a part of the team. And as you mentioned already, the uniqueness of the Creative Society project is that it's been implemented by volunteers globally. And as you mentioned today already, and I would like to precise that the previous conference on the 4th of December was simultaneously interpreted into 100 languages. And the next conference, the Global Forum, which will take place on the 7th of May, will be interpreted into more than 100 languages. Everything is done by volunteers. Nobody is paid for this. Why do people do it? Because we all understand the current situation in the world. We all understand the importance of changing the format of the society. And I would like to pass the floor to Aiden, because Aiden is the interpreter who covered the previous conference and made the interpretation, the translation into one of very rare languages. And I would like to ask your opinion about the conference, your feedback about it, and why did you decide to participate?
Здравствуйте, друзья.
Hello, dear friends. Peace be with you all. I'm very thankful to you for inviting me to this round table, to this discussion. I see everything that is happening in the world, and I'm not indifferent to what is happening. The conference of December 4th was really shocking. It shocked me to the depths of my heart. Although we knew in advance, we were preparing for the text, we were translating the text. But when we were interpreting the conference as a whole, it produced a really, really strong impression, holistic impression. So many topics, so many problems of our contemporary society, of our civilization were disclosed. And I think that this conference should be watched by all people on the planet Earth, because the truth was voiced and it was revealed. Everything that is happening right now with the climate, with the environment, with all these problems. And in addition, there are so many problems caused by the consumerist format of society where we live, this inequality, the fact that people die of hunger, that they die of other problems. All this is the consequences of the consumerist format. So this conference must be watched by all people. When we were interpreting the previous conference, global crisis, this already concerns everyone or affects everyone. We had only interpreters. We are not professional interpreters. We're just people who are not indifferent to the destiny of ourselves, our dear and near people, and the entire humanity. So we do our best to convey this information to everyone. The previous conference, we interpreted the two of us. But this time, in December, there were already more of us. We were 4 interpreters, and we also had about 10 or 12 assistants who helped us. We called people through social media so that people could help us translate the materials. People responded. Unfortunately, there were people who asked how much money they would get. But I believe that everyone should, or even must, watch this conference, which was prepared from the bottom of the heart of people. Thank you.
For your active participation. And yes, as you mentioned, we are living in the consumer format of the society. We are used that everything should be paid. Money became our God. And the necessary changes which are to be done is to recall again that we are humans above all. And if we start to value human life, which is the first foundation of the creative society, then everything will change around us for the best. And as you mentioned again, that this is a time of waking up, and this is why we speak the truth, we tell the truth, we are open about naming the things as they are without trying to smooth them, because the time to smooth them has passed, because it's time now then we are to make our true choice to live as people or to live as consumerists. And honestly, we don't have too much time to make our choices, because all conditions around us are not helping us too much. So I would like to pass the floor to Alexander, and we go to our next topic.
Thanks. And I also would like to say thank you for all your sincere answers, like what this conference means to you. And it's really, I also agree that everyone needs to see it, because we need to see what is happening on our planet, what is going on, maybe not in our home, but in the home of our neighbors. And we will start with the most important topic, because what's happening to the climate across the planet, sometimes it's really difficult to see the whole information globally and understand all the consequences, all the relationship between the events. And the next video will show you more and show all what is happening and what might be in the near future.
Inhale of the Earth. Scientists have been recording something frightening. Lakes, rivers, and waterfalls are disappearing all over the planet. Where is the water going so fast? Lakes. The second largest lake in Bolivia, which is called Pulpo, dried up. Satellite images show that the water was still there in April 2013. But by January 2016, the lake had completely dried up. Not only has this become a tragedy for the people living there, but also a dire prediction about the future of many lakes on a global scale. The destruction of Lake Aguelo, that had been 6 meters deep, happened so suddenly as if someone removed a giant plug and released all the water. In just 7 years, the lake completely disappeared. In California, the state's second largest reservoir, Lake Oroville, is disappearing at a catastrophic rate. As you can see, even a buoy is at the lake bottom. For the first time in history, what was once the deepest reservoir has descended to a record low level. In Lake Pechera, the water disappeared along with fish. The narrow hole through which the lake apparently drained dragged down all the aquatic fauna with it. Rivers. The level of the Parana River, the second longest in South America after Amazon, is currently at its lowest level in 77 years. Water in the Atoyac River disappeared suddenly after a giant fissure had opened, through which the water left. The Great Indus River in Pakistan is left almost without water today. The size of its delta has shrunk by more than 5 times. Several settlements along the coast were deserted. Hundreds of people had to leave. In 2013, from a 3-meter deep raging torrent, the Sims River turned into something so shallow that it barely was above scientists' sneakers in the deepest part of the reservoir. The Rio Grande, an important river for the US residents, has begun to disappear. Despite its impressive size, its banks have already turned into a pile of sand and rocks. Many rivers in the US are in danger of drying up, from the mighty Colorado to the Gasconade. Waterfalls. One of the most majestic waterfalls in the world, the Iguazu Falls complex, which is almost 3 kilometers wide, has lately decreased by 5 times. The second most powerful waterfall in the world after Iguazu, Victoria Falls, was on the verge of disappearance in 2019. Ecuador's highest waterfall, San Rafael Falls, disappeared for good in 2020. Instead of a roaring, rushing waterfall, there is now a thin, barely visible brook flowing down the rocks. On all the continents, we observe that water is leaving, which means it's a planetary scale process. It's worth pondering. How will worldwide water shortages affect the lives of us all? According to the research by American scientists, water level in the world's largest rivers have dropped significantly over the last 50 years. All around the world, thousands of rivers and reservoirs are disappearing, but at the same time, there are powerful downpours. For example, in China, despite frequent floods, more than 27,000 rivers has disappeared, which is about 50% of the country's rivers. How can this be explained? In Ukraine, more than 10,000 rivers have disappeared over the past 30 years, and wells are drying up. A quarter of England's rivers and a half of its small streams are also in danger of disappearing. Due to water shortages, India is facing water crisis like never before. A natural question arises: where is the water going? Currently, our planet is entering a cycle of planetary cataclysms, which occur every 12,000 years. During the cycle, galactic interaction affects the core of the planet, causing the core to become unbalanced, and it begins to jump. Because of this, the planet accelerates its rotation and begins to expand along its equator. Microcracks are formed, and water reservoirs goes down to greater depths. This intake of water by the planet can be compared to an inhale. Right now, the planet is inhaling. Does it mean that at some point it will exhale? So when and how will our planet exhale? As a result of the planet's acceleration, its centrifugal force changes and magma begins to rise to the surface of the Earth's crust and warm the underground waters. Already today, we're witnessing rapid melting of glaciers from the bottom up, heating of deep layers of the world's ocean, melting of permafrost, and cases when people see water in wells boiling up. In the bowels of Western Siberia alone, at a depth of 1.5 kilometers, there's an entire sea of hot water measuring 1 trillion cubic meters. And such bubbling and boiling underground sea are not only found under Siberia, but in many other regions as well. There is enough water to cause another biblical flood. So when magma reaches the huge reserves of water, this water will start to massively evaporate. Just imagine the quantities of water that will come out of the ground as the planet exhales. This will result in incessant downpours, causing catastrophic floods. We expect water to rise up by miles, so only the tops of the mountains will remain. The fact that the planet breathes has been mentioned since time immemorial. This already happened in the history of humankind. An example of this is the Great Flood, which is mentioned in many myths of the people of the world.
Well, we have mentioned that the earth breathes, it absorbs water, and having contracted, gives it away. And this happens instantly. It can happen overnight.
Our civilization is faced with the most terrible enemy, one that is merciless in its manifestation. He is already overpowering us, and we, because of our separation consumerist format, are not even fighting back. If we want to preserve life on the planet, we need to act as a united front. This is the only way to guarantee a secure future for us. To do this, it is vital for us to unite and change the format of society to the creative one. In this format, we will quickly develop technology which will provide us with the ability to preserve our lives as the Earth exhales. Right now, you decide what happens next and which scenario we will follow.
Rede, I would like to pass you a floor because we know you are an expert, and we would like you to comment on the video which you saw about the water living. And first of all, we would like to ask you what you think about it and why we don't hear about this information often from other resources.
From my knowledge of history, it is plausible. It is definitely plausible for anyone else to agree with what was shown. The individual have to take time out for themselves to really soak in the information, to really delve into the information themselves. It's okay for someone to say, "Hey, check this out," but for the individual to actually read the book themselves, that's what's needed. But it is very credible, as the other participant, the guest, said. It was really an eye opener. It was an eye opener for me from last year, since I think it was in July, one of the earlier meetings. So again, I would really urge anyone looking at the information to really take time out to delve more, not just take what we say for granted, but check out the information for yourself. Most of the information, it's gathered from scientists, and there's some scientists that are hiding the information, some scientists that are being more open now. So if we can read between the lines, everyone can see for themselves where we're headed, and it is dread.
Yes, thanks. And can you please comment, maybe you heard something more about where the water is going on and why we see all these rivers that are getting lesser and lesser, and the seas that are just disappear. Maybe have you heard about it, like in your circle of colleagues or friends who are interested in this topic?
Okay, well, nowadays we hear the term climate change. Climate change, it's very broad. But for the disappearance of water, it's not just about the rays from the sun. It's not just about the heat that's evaporating the water. There really is more to it that meets the eye. Like I said, if any individual looking at the meeting can delve more into the information for themselves, they can see exactly where it's going, where we're headed. For me to say alone, for me to say my view, there's somewhere in the sedimentary rocks. I don't know how deep down, I don't know how far down, but I believe that there are different pockets within the earth crust that the water can be settling. As such, you see sinkholes creating, you see other different cataclysms as well with regards to water. Again, anyone can check out the information for themselves. We have mass mediums nowadays. We have the World Wide Web. We have individuals who are in different fields of geology. You can ask questions anytime. But again, from my opinion, it is more than credible what we're seeing happening thanks to the creative society. If you can come together, if more people can come together, and we can have intelligent, respectful communication with regards to the field, we can have an explosion of this knowledge even quicker. That's something I would like to see as well.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And the next question is to Rakib Mahdi. Can you please tell us more? So we know that you would like to share about how the climate crisis affecting the lives of people in Bangladesh right now, and how the climate is changing the lives of people who didn't even heard or even think about that before.
Thank you for your wonderful question. Actually, the current devastating natural climate disaster and the global warming actually affected a lot of people all around the world. And last global conference that organized in 4th of December 2021, actually the main topics of this global conference is to knowing about the real peoples, the real examples of devastating natural climate disasters that are happening all around the world. Actually, I like to mention that it's not an endemic, it's like a pandemic. So all around the world, a lot of people facing different kinds of natural climate disaster. And you know what's been happening in Indonesia, we already see that volcano eruption is happening, and we see that in Tonga also happening these kind of things, and we also see that in USL a lot of devastating tornadoes are already attacked, and that's why a lot of people are being vulnerable of this natural climate disaster. And you mentioned the current situation of my countries, and Bangladesh is the coast living always being one of the most vulnerable countries of the natural climate disaster. So it's always scared things to being affected by the natural climate disaster, and it's really important to know the real fact of why the natural climate disaster are intensifying, and gradually the number of natural climate disaster are exponentially rising. And you know, a lot of people are talking about the rising of carbon dioxide, or so-called green energy. We can stop the natural climate disaster, but why our last global conference is important? Because in this global global conference, our lot of scientists who don't hide the real truth for money. They are talk bravely that the real truth, why the current situation is so much scary, and a lot of intensifying natural climate disaster are rising. So I think it's always too scary to be vulnerable of natural climate disaster, and it's always heartbreaking that all around the world annually 150 thousands of people dying just victim of the natural climate disaster. So it's unthinkable and undesirable. So I think it's a high time to be united to reduce the effect of natural climate disaster. I think it's an omission to rely on our world leaders for all kind of things, solutions. I think we have to be united to prevent these awful things that are all around the world. People are suffering because that it's not any particular reason that are happening in areas. It's an kind of global epidemic. It's more worse than our common virus. So it's not any kind of particular vaccine that we can prevent it. So the only way to prevent natural climate disaster, to inform the real cause why this kind of awful natural climate disaster are intensifying. And I think why our last global conference is important, because in this global conference, our lot of scientists are revealing the real truth, why a lot of people are suffering this kind of natural climate disaster. So I think this is the only way to be united and preventing what is happening in the whole world, and to protect people from any kind of suffering. I think we know the statistical report how are dying in different kinds of natural climate disaster, but the problem is we have to perceive the grief of victims of natural climate disasters, because we are thinking that we are safe. No, in my region there will be no flood, there will be no tornadoes current, but what will happen next we don't know actually. So it's a high time to be united and to talk people about how we can be united and save people from all around the world. So I think this is a unique chance to united peoples all around the world, and Creative Society is just a wonderful platform to unite people all around the world. And a last global conference is a huge chance to be informed about the negative impact of natural climate disaster all around the world. People are already hearing and seeing this global conference. So I think it's a useful opportunity to inform about natural climate disaster all around the world. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. And as you mentioned, Rahip, it's so important to know the true reasons of climate change. If we continue to believe the scam about CO2, so many people will die, and the numbers you mentioned will increase tremendously. Already now, people are in very miserable situation all around the world, and we don't see it also on mainstream channels, because we don't want to know how other people live, how they suffer. Because if we all know the truth, if you are human, you can't stay indifferent, you will act. Therefore, I would like to invite you to watch a short part of the documentary about refugees that was presented at the conference. And I would like to ask you afterwards to discuss what we people can do in order to stop with unhuman society. Thank you. Let's watch it.
Why is there such inhuman treatment of people? I was thinking about it and decided to figure it out.
You will never spend a month without being attacked. with the xenophobic attack before they say, as a foreigners, we are stealing their work. I've lost that hope of being in the great society. I don't know, I've lost that hope because seeing the way that people are being killed, seeing the way that people are being shot in my eyes.
A child can be sold many times. I remember one day I came across the story of a girl who was, she was Turkish. She had been sold 17 times, and she had been trafficked from one country to another 17 times, and she had experienced only rape.
I also sat in many auctions as a customer, as an undercover when I was doing the undercover. There where we were sitting for the auctions, 9-year-old girl, 10-year-old girl, as per the demands. So the trade called the first time sex. Whenever the auctions will happen, new girls arrive in the trade, so they put the auctions. So who will bid the last demand, the money, that person only will use that victim full night for his choice.
The business that is made of spare parts, the human spare parts. How many children have been transferred from one place to another and then being operated on for some rich guys in different parts of the world to get a kidney or get something else from their bodies against their will.
Black market, traffickers, mafia is part of this economy that is ruling the world. So what else I can say? That I only see that another possibility is to spend money instead of constructing walls like we are doing in Europe.
In our society, human life has no value. How is it possible that instead of help, people encounter violence, aggression, abuse, and slavery? This is not a migration crisis, but this is a crisis of humaneness.
People, by looking at the existing legal frame, will not ever be entitled asking for protection. Because you will ask them which country you're coming from, they will say there is no country. I had a country called X, but the country now is underwater. Or I had a village and this village is being totally destroyed or disappearing.
It turns out that there are still no effective programs for the resettlement of refugees. For so many years, the United Nations has been working. For so many years, the Refugee Rights Commission has been working. So many humanitarian organizations and NGOs around the world have been working, but there are no working, established or adopted programs on how to work with these refugees. There are none, and the Refugee Commission itself admits this.
Now refugees are forced to leave their homes. They face condemnation and cruelty. They are left alone with their misfortune because of the consumerist format of society. Tomorrow's climate catastrophes could be upon us as well. Answer yourself honestly. Are you ready to face what refugees face? Are you sure you won't be in their shoes? That you and your loved ones won't have to go through what they're going through.
This horror is happening right now, every day. How we can even live in such a society when we know that this horror is happening? Do we really want to live like that and continue that these things will still go on? How long can we turn a blind eye to this? And I would like to ask you, if you, as a father in the consumerist format of our society, Aydin, can you please share, can we also be safe for, be sure that we can be safe and feel safe about our children?
Нет, конечно.
Of course not. We cannot be sure, because in the consumerist format, no one can be sure and feel peaceful about tomorrow. Nobody has any confidence, because in the consumerist format, people do not live, they survive. They work hard in order to earn some bread and have some house.
Yes, I really agree. And also all these horror happening around us, it's so sad, but we understand that there is a way out. And this is why we are here today. This is why we are united. And I would like to ask also our guests, Rayday, Rahib, can you please send your understandings why it's important for us to unite today, to conduct such discussions, and to build the creative society, to make that necessary change? Please share your understandings.
Yes, thank you for your wonderful question. But before answering these questions, I like to say something about refugee, because on the last video we see that the horrible condition of refugee, and as a journalist, I'm usually working with the refugee problems, and I like to show some statistical conditions of the brutality that's happening or applying on the refugees. And the common route of refugee Mediterranean Sea, usually a lot of people are trying to cross these areas and moving to the Europe from Africa and Middle East. And last year, 2021, more than 1,500 people died just to trying to cross the Mediterranean Sea. And this time, more than 90,000 migrants are trying to move to cross the Mediterranean Sea just from Africa and Europe, so Africa and Asia. So it's really heartbreaking that a lot of migrants, those are being refugees for many reasons, war, the victims of natural climate disaster, and they are just common people. They are just normal people. They are just human. But people are trying to be. They are just perpetrator. No. They are just not perpetrator. They are just a human. But our acting to refugee peoples that they are just criminal, and brutal tortures are happening on them. And many countries are trying to protect them, building the electric fence, building the long walls to protect the refugees, but you can't protect the refugees to move on those countries they are willing to go there. And I like to tell some examples, real examples, some war-ravaged countries like Syria and Afghanistan. That more than decades of conflicts, Syria are ravaged by civil war, and more than 500,000 people are died, and 25 of these people are just children and innocent women. And that in this case 12 million Syrians are forced to be a refugee. And another horrible example is Afghanistan. That it's one of the most rapidly growing humanitarian crises that we are seeing on different kinds of social medias. And that half of their population, 22 million people, suffering the acute food crisis, and 9 million Afghans peoples are being displaced. They are being refugees in neighboring countries, and millions of children are out of their schools. So it's just unthinkable, undesirable, and I can't express my feelings that how it's heartbreaking that a lot of refugees all around the world. And I think we are responsible to being a refugees. That a lot of war are happening, and a lot of people's being refugee because of war. They have no choice. They have no choice to remain in their countries. They are forced to. They are forced to leave their own countries, and that their financial condition is so much heartbreaking. 97% of Afghan people are living below the extreme poverty line. So you just think about that. Their condition is how heartbreaking, and it's, I think, I think those wars that are happening, we are responsible for that, because it's totally unthinkable that top 15 most expensive countries, those military budget is more than $2 trillion. So some world power countries, they are investing trillions of dollars in making weapons, selling weapons, and these weapons are used in innocent people, and their only breadwinners are dying, and they are being a refugee. So we are responsible for making a refugee from their normal sense of that. So I think being a refugee is our responsibility, because we are making normal people to be a refugee. So it's our duty to make a settlements of refugee. Those countries they are willing to go, and or we can repatriate a refugee on their own land. And you are asking about the unity of the peoples all around the world. You know that Creative Society is just an wonderful platform, and more than 180 countries, peoples are united under one goal. There's humanity, and Creative Society always want to ensure that human life is the first priority, and the wonderful 8 foundation of Creative Society that I like most. I think it's the best constitution. I think a lot of countries set their constitution. I think the best option is the 8 foundation of Creative Society. That's the basic of humanity. That's the best book of humanity. I think that so we are all uniting under one goal. That's humanity. I think our one identity that we are all human. Because we can separate in different religions, we can separate in skin colors, language, countries, but after all, we are all human, and the one identity that all hate can be removed. So I'm so much pleased to be a part of wonderful Creative Society project. That's humanity is their first priority. So thank you for your question.
Absolutely, Rahib. So as you mentioned, I'm happy that you mentioned the 8 foundations of the Creative Society, because they were formed based on the answers of people. During 10 years, the participants of Creative Society project, they were asking people all around the world in which world they would like to live in. And based on their answers, the 8 foundations of the Creative Society were formed. Basically, the 8 foundations of the Creative Society is the desire of everyone. And as you mentioned that we live in the conditions and climate, we'll see no difference in our races, in our social status, in our nationalities. It doesn't care which religion we belong to or where we live. It won't look at what we do, because it destroys everything on its way. And I would like to ask Ray Day, can you please share your understandings about how important it is today to unite, and how important it is today to unite around one goal, around one idea, which could really be implemented by everyone together in the world?
Okay, beautiful. So again, to reiterate, the Creative Society, to me, I see is the best medium so far, because with regards to the migrant crisis, the refugee crisis, climate change, again, with everyone's religious beliefs, and myself as an assistant meteorologist here in St. Kitts, and a believer in the gospel of Jesus Christ, I draw reference to what I've learned. The scriptures that talk about are prophesying about cataclysms to come. Earthquakes in diverse places, pestilences, disease, wars, rumors of wars. Even with regards to the migrant crisis, people are drawing reference to enemies. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers, rulers of wickedness. And again, if you can unite with our religious beliefs, with respectful conversations, we can get to this process much steadily. So again, the Creative Society I see is a wonderful medium. God bless it. And God bless everyone who comes here. I hope everyone can really ingest what is being said for themselves. It's going to make a big impact in the days to come, hopefully. But again, from my point of view, which is the gospel of Jesus Christ, there are lots of ways we can draw reference to what's happening. Nothing new is under the sun. These times have happened so many years ago. I guess history is kind of repeating itself, so sad. But if we can unite our beliefs, unite everyone, we can have a better understanding what's happening and how to go about it. Thank you.
Thank you. And it's really important to unite on these universal values and just stop dividing anything at all. And everything starts from oneself. When you inside yourself stop dividing, and it's also very important to not all this information that we see around us, also to confirm with and understand that it's that we need to find ways how we can build bridges between ourselves and stop build borders and this imaginary border. That's actually the main thing that they are only in our mind. And after all, we can handle all these disasters separately, and only together we can really do a lot. And that's really inspires when you see these examples on the conference. For example, like Aydin and Rakib, we know that you've done a tremendous job participating in the conference translations, and you give people who speak different languages a chance really to learn about this vital information. And we would like to sincerely thank you for this, and this is an example of actions of caring of people. And can you please share your experience of participation? So why do we do it? Aydin, please. Okay.
Thank you, Alex. You know that being part of a wonderful global team, being part of a creative society is always my pleasure. And you know that I already mentioned that 8 Foundation of Creative Society. When you read the 8 Foundation of Creative Society, you will able to understand that this 8 Foundation of Creative Society, everybody just wanted to implement their society, their country, overall, all around the world. And if you implement this 8 Foundation of Creative Society, there will be no refugee problem, there will be no hunger problem, there will be no food crisis, there will be no economical instability. Everybody can able to pass their life happily. So that's why I think Creative Society is a unique organization that are working with one platform humanity and wanted to build such society where this 8 Foundation will be implemented and everybody will be able to pass an happy life. There will be no problem, there will be no financial problem, there will be no refugee problem, and everybody can pass their life. And I think why we are being participant of Creative Society, because we see that all around the world, every countries are facing different kind of problems, corruptions, manipulations, sounds like that. But for the solution of that, if you think that a lot of humanitarian organizations are working to improve the situation of refugees, even United Nations are working their best to settlement of refugees. But finally, it's not so much effective. A lot of people are suffering on the refugee camps, and you know that Rohingya refugees are remain in Bangladesh, and this is the largest refugee camp. And I saw this the brutal condition of those refugees, and how we can make a good settlement of those refugees, or all around the world. Those people are suffering in their own land. So I think we have to inform all peoples about the real conditions, real condition about natural climate disaster, real condition of intensifying natural climate disaster, real condition of refugees, their miserable lives. So we have to be perceived the grip of suffering people. So maybe we are not suffering so much problems like the refugee people, so like the peoples who are those peoples are living under the extreme food crisis problems. You know that I like to mention statisticals around that. Around
Rahib, we can't hear you.
Unbearable that a lot of billionaires investing their so-called green energy, and they visit on the Mars. They are wasting. Yes. Actually, what is happening? It's just uneven world. I'm talking about around 10% of the global population, those living under the extreme poverty line. Their earning per day is under $2. So can you just imagine that how many billionaires are wasting their money on so-called green energy, or visiting on the Mars, visiting on the moon? So I think it's not necessary. It's the first importance that to saving humans' life. It's the importance of saving humans' life is profound, but our consumer format of society can't able to do that. And in this 21st of century, if we talk about the food crisis, you know that it's totally horrific that annually 1.3 billion food are wasting, but on the other hand, 155 million people are suffering acute food problems. So it's just an unbearable thing that one side we are wasting food, and other side people are dying in hunger. So it's not our world that we are trying to establish that. And so what's the importance of building creative society? Building creative society ensure to establish this kind of platform that everybody living peacefully, and there will be no hunger problem, there will be no refugee problem, there will be no devastating victims of climate catastrophe. And I'm really pleased to be part of this wonderful platform. So thank you.
Thank you, Rahib. You just voiced all the questions I also had in my head for such a long time. I think many participants and people around the world, they were asking themselves why there are so many organizations struggling with poverty, inequality, trying to solve problems of refugees or war conflicts, and still we have so much poverty, we have so much inequality, so many people suffer, so much money is spent on things which are not here and now helping billions of people. Thank you for voicing all these questions. And this is a great example of how we should start asking ourselves about what is happening today in the world. And if we also start to discuss it together, we will understand that we all see the same things. We all think the same way. And also our next step is to act. This is why I would like again to come back to Aiden, because you did great job, and you participated in 2 conferences and provided translation for people who really speak a very rare language, and maybe for them to have this translation is crucial in their life, because their life can change just because you made this action, you made this step. And also you gave us an amazing example how you organized this group in Facebook and gathered together more volunteers and more people who started to talk. I would like to talk to you about the importance of starting talking about these problems and sharing the information about the creative society, sharing the information about the platform that we are uniting already here and now. What is the importance of this action? Because sometimes it can look like a very small action, just to talk, just to share information, just to go to a social media network. But what is the true importance of such actions?
Alina, спасибо за хороший вопрос.
Alina, thank you very much for this great question. I believe that right now it is very important for all people, for the entire world to know this information. You know, I'm in the Republic of Tver. It's in Siberia, in southern Siberia, in Krasnoyarsk Krai region on the border with Mongolia. Our region is quite stable so far. We do not see any sharp changes in climate right now. So when you're saying, like when we are saying here, I mean, when I'm talking to my co-residents about climate changes and climate events which are happening, they have such an attitude that it's happening somewhere far away. This doesn't bother us because nothing happens in our region, because that's the way it is. So what I want to say is that people who live in quite stable regions, they do not have a holistic understanding of what is really happening. As for news in mass media do not show the real situation. They show only like the volcano which erupted in Hongo-Tongo and such large-scale events. But if you really dig deeper into information, you study all this together, you get horrified that something happens every day. On YouTube, I watch information on a daily basis, and I know and I see that every day some climate disaster cataclysm is happening somewhere. So right now it is very important to convey the truth to people, to tell them about what is happening, to tell them about the conference and about the creative society, because creative society is the only project which can really give a chance humanity to be saved in the face of the upcoming events, growing events, cataclysms. And basically humanity can destroy itself if it doesn't know about it. So right now it's very important to share this information with all people, tell about this project. It's very important not to be silent about this project, Creative Society project, because if we are silent, we thus choose a future without a future. If we are silent, we just agree with this unhumane consumerist format, with all atrocities which have been shown in the video a little bit earlier. And we shouldn't agree with the fact that people somewhere suffer in such a way, that children are being sold, that human organs are being sold, and some people are forced to sell their own organs in order to survive. That's terrible. So the major task right now is to tell everyone about the creative society, so that we have a chance to unite all together and to prevent the cataclysms which are coming. If we do succeed in uniting and building the creative society, then we will be able to solve all the issues of the consumerist format, like inequality and everything that is happening, the environmental issues. And we will be able to unite all the scientists who would help us solve the issues with the climate. Thank you very much.
Because we have the 8 foundations of the creative society, so we have already tools how to make that necessary changes. Thank you so much for being a role model, an example, a true hero. Thank you for all participants of the project Creative Society. Just imagine today's broadcast is supported by tens of people. So they all live in different countries. Now they are in different time zones. They are all voluntarily providing their skills to make these broadcasts real, so that people all around the world learn as soon as possible about the Project Creative Society and join it. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. And it's also very, very important for everyone to understand that right now it's the most valuable and vital information for everyone is information about creative society and about the current situation that we are having with our planet, with our society, as you saw in the videos today. And it's really valuable to share this information further, because when we all understand, when we all humans understand, just imagine 8 billion of people who understand the issue and know the solution, what might be. And it's very important to share this, to go live on your social networks, to make videos and post it online, to write posts and just maybe talk to your neighbors, to your acquaintance, to people you find or can some occasionally ask you something on the street. Why not to share this? Because right now it's really time to act. It's time to be a true hero, a hero who is talking about the truth openly. And I'd also like to ask a question to Raide. Maybe can you please share on some examples how like a simple person can share this information further? Maybe you have some examples about it.
I came across I came across Creative Society via a lecture and via climate change that I'm subscribed to on YouTube. For anyone else, it's about who's around you and the different mediums that you have around you. There's Facebook, WhatsApp, there's Twitter. And again, if you have co-workers, your neighbors, I think it would be most beneficial to share this information with everyone you interact with. The more people we have on board, I think the better it will be, the quicker things will activate as well too. So again, if you have mediums like the internet, if you have a good circle of friendship, that's the best way.
Yes, it's really the best way to do that, because only by personal actions we understand and we can share it further. And when we understand it, you can also share this with other persons. So I would like to thank our dear speakers for our today's discussion, and thank you for your actions, because nowadays it's really the most important thing to bring this information up, not to be silent and just inform people all over the world. Today we see these climate disasters that are destroying not over our homes, but destroying destinies of people, killing people all over the world. And we simply cannot be quiet, keep quiet about it any longer. The consumer format of society has brought us to this dead end. And without creative society, we simply cannot cope with oncoming cataclysms. If we want to live, we urgently need to change the format of our society, change this system of relationships that are between people. And we are human beings, and we want to live. So right now it's very important that every person takes an active stand, get up and go tell everyone about Creative Society, to join the project, because together we can really do anything.
Absolutely. And we are actively preparing for the next big step. On the 7th of May, the most important event for all mankind will take place. I'm not exaggerating. It's important for all mankind. And if you are an expert in any of the above mentioned topics which we discussed today, consumer formative society, human slavery, refugees, please contact us. Maybe, unfortunately, you are a witness and you know in practice about the atrocities of the consumer format of the society, of human slavery, of, again, refugee problems. If you are a witness of climate cataclysm, please contact us. And thank you so much, dear participants, for today's discussion, for your vision, for your understandings, and for your impact in the building of the Creative Society. See you all at the next international discussion on Creative Society TV.